those of you that have been watching exciting first-round action elsewhere, here in Spokane, Connecticut reeled off 4 unanswered to open the game, but since then BYU, in a minute and 20-second spurt, have scored 7 straight to lead this game by 3. Jake Schoaf just picked up a foul, and the big story is Emeka Okafor, who picked up a very early foul. In fact, in the first sequence offensively for BYU. And right away, Jim Calhoun concerned because of the size of this Cougar team. They can go 3 deep in their front line. He chose to take Okafor out of the game. Now Emeka making his way back onto the floor.
Well, with 1 foul, Jim Calhoun told me yesterday his main concern going into this game was foul trouble for Okafor. And as you mentioned, got his first on the first possession of the game. He is the leading shot blocker in the country, a formidable force, ignites their fast break, so he must play intelligently for the rest of these 15 minutes in the first half and avoid picking up a second.
Travis Hansen, clearly the most versatile player on the floor for BYU. He and Woodbury. Woodbury, a 2-guard who converted to the point because of early season injury.
Emeka can be in right now also, Tim, because Arugio, who is the best offensive inside player, out of the game, so less chance for him to foul.
Travis Hansen, boy, we talked about his versatility. As if on cue, he answers, and it's 9-6.
Hansen's first team All Mountain West Conference. Watch the inside show, putting his body all over Okafor.
White lost that one in midair, and that's going to be a turnover.
White felt that the ball was tipped, and right there, Schoaf, a big, strong 275-pound guy.
Here are the other games that are going to be coming up, and when those games of interest are going to your area, we'll be taking you to them, including between South Carolina State and Oklahoma. Some believe the Sooners the most vulnerable of the #1 seeds in this year's NCAA tournament.
Hollis Price a little bit injured in the Big 12 Conference Championship game. Was injured in the NCAAs last year as well.
Long rebound taken down by Connecticut. Rashad Anderson is into the game. There's Gordon. Too strong. He rushed that shot. Bothered a bit by Woodbury. Gordon 1 out of 4 to open this game. Here's Woodbury. Not there. Tapped away by Hansen. It will be controlled to UConn. And Rafael Arugio is now re-entering the game to match up with Okafor.
Well, Jim Calhoun earlier this year, prostate surgery, was back in 13 days after the surgery. And of course, when he came back, his team got righted very quickly.
I had a chance to visit with him back in New York last week prior to the Big East tournament, and his outlook on life has certainly changed, but his, you see the foul on Woodbury. The outlook may have changed, but the tenacity along the sidelines is exactly the same.
That hasn't changed at all. The 1999 NCAA championships. Take a look at their record with Calhoun as their coach. They are 24-8 in the NCAA. That is awesome, and they won the championship in '99, beating Duke and Tampa.
10-0 in the first round of the NCAAs, 8-2 in the second round. Chances of him getting to the Sweet 16 are always good.
Well, they are a young team. Last year, Caron Butler left the Huskies, and now in the NBA. With him, they'd be even better. But you know what I've seen a lot of this year? A lot of team play, a lot of balanced teams this year in the NCAA.
Jared Jensen picked up that foul, his first. Shot off the back iron, pulled down by Bigelow.
Tim, you think BYU has a little advantage here being closer?
I do. I think the fact that UConn had to travel as far as they did, and there's so many fans. How about that duck under Arugio? He did not finish, but boy, the quick feet of the soccer player from Brazil. Right now, UConn's offense seems to be rushed and out of sync. They're 2 out of 10 from the floor.
I think they've woken up too early. They got to get their blood flowing before they get going here. It's very early on the West Coast.
Even with those shooting woes, only down by 3 and almost 7 minutes deep.
Well, Arugio has not been able to establish himself inside much at all.
Turned it over a couple of times.
Turned it over twice, and I think he's thinking about Okafor a little bit.
Jensen off the feed from Bigelow. What a pass.
Armstrong falls asleep, and his man gets wide open on a screen on the weak side. Good intensity on the part of the Cougars.
Rashad Anderson off the curl. Nails the tray.
Rashad Anderson is a microwave kind of player. He has no conscience. Shoots from deep. whenever he touches the basketball. So that can be a good thing.
Terry Nashif now in the game at the point. And again, Araujo at point-blank range can't hit. Last touch by UConn.
In the lineup for the Huskies, number 4, Ben Gordon, number 25, Mike Hayes.
It's been a very entertaining first 7.5 minutes here. BYU on a 7-0 run at one point. Connecticut losing Okafor to an early foul. Emeka Okafor back in the game now. And here's Bigelow taking an extra step. Turnovers have been the story for BYU, and that's the reason they haven't been able to take advantage of UConn's poor shooting.
UConn's defense is forcing them to play a little bit faster than they would like in their half-court sets. UConn, on the other hand, really struggling, not taking advantage of any break situations. They need to run Gordon off of screens so he can get open for his jumper.
Okafor over Jensen, count it, and a foul.
A little bump with the lower body on the part of Jensen. He and Schoaf will guard Okafor all night long. He was successful in pushing Okafor off the block. Watch the lower part of the body here. Gets him on the push before the shot. Jensen guilty.
At the free throw line for the Huskies, Emeka Okafor.
He was credited with the hoop. Emeka Okafor at the line, as you see Art Jepson sitting down. Jared Jensen picked up that foul. Now a 6-0 spurt for Connecticut, and they lead by 1. Bigelow, very active and attracting a lot of attention from Connecticut. He's being doubled almost every time he gets it into the painted area.
Whenever he puts the ball on the floor.
You take a look at our game summary. Connecticut shooting poorly, but BYU has turned it over. Those 4 turnovers don't look like a lot, but they've all come inside the painted area. Tim Brando alongside Bob Winslow, Leslie Maxey also with us. Araujo and Okafor right now, it's a bit of a wash.
Yeah, it really is, and that's the matchup inside. And the matchup outside is Hansen and Gordon. Those are the 2 things to watch for in this game.
Schoaf gets an easy one off the out-of-bounds pass, and BYU leads by 1.
When you have the ball under your own basket, it's an advantage. If you execute well, you should get a good shot on out-of-bounds plays.
Nice defensive work. You know, Nashif almost knocked that one in. Save to Okafor, and the save by Mike Hayes.
Hayes, great hustle, stick-to-itiveness on the offensive boards. He's not going to get many shots, but if he makes plays like that, he's going to get minutes, I guarantee you.
Emeka Okafor now with 7 on the day.
Interestingly, Tim, also Hayes is guarding Araujo right now instead of Okafor. They want to keep Hayes on him. Underneath the basket right here, Okafor gets sandwiched and knocked down, but Hayes, beautiful behind the back save. Okafor, right place at the right time.
Mike Hayes picked up that foul for Connecticut, his first.
Boy, BYU is physical inside. Schoaf and Araujo in there. They are banging.
And they're wide bodies as well. Take up a lot of space.
265, 280.
Nashif with the dump down to Rafael Araujo. Nice look inside to Schoaf. Goes reversal, using his body as a shield, and there's a lot of it.
That's a big shield. Half-court execution getting better for the Cougars right here.
That's a walk. Anderson, little shuffle step, and the veteran official Tom O'Neill right on top of it.
Good post-to-post passing on the part of the Cougars here, and you described how Schoaf used his body to protect the basketball. That's what you want to do when you're going against a good shot blocker like Emeka.
I think most of the people around the country, Bob, when they saw this matchup, felt that BYU would try to slow UConn down. Well, you haven't been watching your Mountain West college basketball this year. This team really loves to get up and down the floor. Bigelow with the ball fake is able to induce the foul from Denham Brown.
What they like to do, Tim, is push the ball up the floor quickly and get threes in transition. Then if they don't have it, they don't want to take a three too early in the possession for fear that UConn's going to run. Bigelow, a great guy, moving without the basketball. He's done well so far in this game.
Speaking of the Cougars, and as we mentioned, this is a school that has had a lot of trips to the NCAA. In fact, the most ever without an opportunity at the Final Four. You think of BYU, and obviously Danny Ainge comes to mind. Also big men, Sean Bradley and company. You think of guys that really have great size. Well, he has size, but he also wants the flow of the game to be of the 94-foot variety.
No question. Steve Cleveland wants it that way. Also, some other guys. Steve Young played here. Andy Reid and Brian Billick, NFL coaches, attended BYU. 32,000 students. That's a lot. Great tradition of basketball and sports all around at BYU.
And yes, they could be the ultimate bracket buster, provided they get beyond the second round, as has been highly documented through the course of the days since Selection Sunday.
Talik Brown, a ball-handling point guard, valuable in his ability to take the ball to the basket, but a non-scorer.
As you know, BYU, because it is of the Mormon faith, would never play on a Sunday. The NCAA committee very well aware of that. Bigelow, a runner, does not go. And because of the pod system, frankly, they were unaware that what they had done is put BYU in a position of advancing out of a Thursday-Saturday sequence in the opening round into a regional that would be played on Friday, Sunday. Interestingly, the chairman of the NCAA Tournament Selection Committee, Jim Livengood, the AD at Arizona, actually did his undergraduate work at BYU. And he is here, and they corrected the error, I think, the only way they could, frankly.
Well, that's right. You know, they're going to let him play and see what happens, and then they'll make some switch. There's Mr. Livengood right there. His team, one of the #1 seeds, Arizona and Lute Olson's group. They will see what happens. BYU continues to win, then they'll make some kind of flip-flop. If they lose, no harm, no foul. Hansen can post up at 6'6", being guarded by Tony Robertson, who's only about 6'3".
There's Hagurugio, and he just snuck in there. And it's hard to say that with a man of that size, but he's very quick to the rack.
Good matchup right here. Hansen on Gordon. Hansen thinks of himself as a solid defensive player as well.
Again, unable to hit it. Hansen with another rebound. He has 4 already. Hagurugio rejected on the way up.
They're calling it a travel.
Yeah, they are. I'm not sure about that. I thought it could have been a tie ball. Don't forget, coming up next in the East, South Carolina State against top seed Oklahoma, and Vermont against #1 seed Arizona. You probably are aware of what Vermont went through. They got stuck in Denver for a couple of days, and you were able to divert a trip to Denver. I'm glad you did.
Took me 16 hours to get here, but it's fun to be here. Vermont, the first time ever in the NCAA tournament.
Okafor, 9 in the game for Emeka. Over half of UConn's allotment belonging to the big fella.
Well, George Blaney, the assistant coach of UConn, told me at yesterday's practice they really wanted to get Okafor a lot of touches early in this game to establish inside offense. They've done that successfully. BYU really executing well in the half-court 5-on-5, getting a lot of inside stuff. They have good balance on their team. Woodbury doesn't look to score much, but the wings, Hansen and Bigelow, do. And, of course, the inside players are powerful.
Hansen, whirling darters with the clock winding down. What an athletic move over Tony Robertson. Three-pointer drained by Gordon.
That is an answer right there. The 2-2 guards taking over the game a little bit right here on individual athletic ability. Hansen and Gordon.
Bigelow again, he feels it. Off the front iron. Long rebound to Anderson.
Talik Brown out of the game right now, Tim, because offensively he doesn't give them a lot. So Robertson and Gordon together in the backcourt.
Schoaf pulls down the rebound. Woodbury really pushing it. Bigelow on the wing. Boy, he has the green light, doesn't he?
He really does. Long and lean. Knows how to move well without the basketball, and they look for him.
Gordon giving it up in midair. Almost got caught in no man's land that time.
Tony Robertson, the 2 guard right now, playing that position. He's a substitute, but the 3rd leading scorer.
Bigelow, the long rebound. Again looking to push, has Hansen with him along with Woodbury.
Well, they look to Woodbury to direct things. He finds people in their offense, constantly looking for Hansen and Bigelow off screens. And I'll tell you, BYU's big guys can set some screens. They are wide. Watch Schoaf.
Araujo wants it and gets it from Woodbury. Quickly the double. Fading away. Not this time, and Schoaf reaching in will pick up the foul. That's 2 on Jake Schoaf, the junior transfer from Weber State. Will be playing here. Will Weber State later. Freshman from Chicago, Illinois. White, 1 and a bonus. Get complete NCAA tournament coverage with live updated brackets and the latest developments on the road to the Final Four. It's all at CBSSportsline.com or on America Online. Enter keyword CBS Sportsline. Very entertaining start here in Spokane. We've got a 1-point game. This is the last one occurring in Albuquerque in '96. Western Carolina had a shot to win it and then a shot to tie it against top-seeded Purdue that particular year. Boilermakers would be taken out in the second round by 8th-seeded Georgia. And, of course, who'll ever forget Princeton, Georgetown?
Oh, I was there that day. My Rutgers team played in the tournament that year, and we lost to Iowa. And that was the next game after our loss. And Alonzo Mourning blocked shot with 1 second to go. Preserved the victory.
The first 3 tournament games we've had so far decided by 11 points total, including that Cal overtime win against North Carolina State.
What I'm seeing so far in this game is the girth and size of the post players for BYU doing a very good job inside. Emeka Okafor on the bench. He's being banged around a lot. I think that's what Steve Cleveland wants to have happen. BYU's got 15 rebounds. UConn only 10.
Woodbury. This time a good block out by Connecticut.
BYU also getting back very quickly so far in this game, Tim. UConn is a team that loves the fast break. They've got nothing in fast break so far in this game. And we're almost at halftime.
Again, the perimeter shot's not falling. There's Hayes underneath. And there's an example of what Hansen and Schoaf can do with their size. And you know, they're very well coached. The hands go straight up. They never lean in. They don't slap.
Well, they don't lean in and slap. They can't jump. So what they got to do is use their bodies.
Yeah.
I mean, we got guys in the 270 range, both of them at the same time in there, using their bodies well. Jensen's posted up. He's open inside. Didn't get it.
Hansen has been the...
this is the guy they want right here.
He's really been the scoring threat of this game. He has 6 points, 4 boards on 3 of 5 shooting. Short on that one just a bit. Last touch by UConn. Okafor has been sitting, but he's re-entering the game. Emeka 4 out of 5 from the floor. He has 9 points.
Hansen doing a good job so far. He's their main offensive weapon on the wings. Okafor and Gordon back in the game. The main offensive weapons for the Huskies rested and ready to go now.
Bauer on the pop out, number 14 in blue. Here's Woodbury feeding Jensen. Shot clock violation. UConn will get it.
Just so people know, a shot clock violation in college basketball, the ball must hit the rim for the shot clock to go off, and right there, nothing but backboard. So good defense on the part of the Huskies on that particular possession. I think the game's going the way BYU wants it right now.
The Cougars of BYU lead by 1, but their star performer offensively is taking a seat. Travis Hansen, a very emotional player. He has 6 points, 4 rebounds early. Emeka Okafor has just re-entered the game for UConn. He leads the Huskies with 9 in a game of spurts, but I believe tempo has really been controlled by BYU.
No question about that. UConn wants to go up and down, and Okafor really establishing himself. We think of him as a great defensive player, but he averages a double-double, and he's doing a great job on offense in this particular game. Although the BYU post players are making him shoot turnaround jumpers, not getting any dunks and close to the basket moves.
He's already in double digits with better than 3 minutes remaining in the opening half. Ricky Bauer, transfer from Wisconsin, into the game now at guard, along with Bigelow. who, when Hanson's been out of the game, has really looked to take his shot.
Oh, yeah. Bigelow and Hanson, a really nice pair of wings. Both the top scorers for BYU.
Araujo. At times, it appears he's concerned about Okafor's presence and rushes it a bit. Timeout, UConn by 1. Champion 2, number 10 seed Georgia Tech against Virginia Tech. Western Kentucky, Rutgers, regional coverage. Check local listings in your area. ESPN, ESPN2, and ESPN Full Court, your exclusive home for all 63 games of the Women's NCAA Championship.
Good defense on UConn on that particular play. This is their first run out of the game. UConn, a team that loves to fast break, and that was their first opportunity in transition in this game. You got to credit BYU with getting back quickly and not taking early shots in their own offense. And that's why the score is as low as it is right now.
Araujo picked up the foul, his second.
18 foul, Talik Brown at the line.
Talik Brown, the point guard, the man who runs the show for the Huskies.
Boy, look at the Huskies profile, a team that certainly has a national championship, their 24th appearance. They've been to 16 straight postseasons.
Incredible program. You talk about the best programs in the country, and you must name Connecticut among them.
No, I don't think Jim Calhoun gets the credit he really deserves as being one of the truly elite head coaches in Division 1A.
No question about that.
Araujo working against Okafor. He's been quiet, and that's the reason why. Third swat by Okafor, but a steal by Bigelow.
Terrible pass by Robertson.
Hanson double clutching. Okafor again altering that shot. Emeka the eraser. Brown runs it down. That's a player control foul against Connecticut.
Connecticut showing frustration in the fast break situation. So far, they've messed up 3 in a row and have not scored, and that is their strength right here. Totally out of control. Good position defense by Bigelow. Talik Brown showing a little frustration. Trying to go to the basket hard, but no place to go on that particular play.
And that's a great example, Bob, of really the way the block charge works. He may have been moving, but he had position first. You know that?
Oh yeah, you don't. You know, people who say you have to be planted to take the charge, that's exactly the wrong thing. In basketball, the guy who gets to the spot first is the one who has it legally. Notice with BYU, they're trying to bring the ball both sides of the floor, looking to get Hanson a shot here. Rashad Anderson dogging him, getting to 10 on the shot clock.
Rafael Araujo this time does draw the foul. Contact coming from Marcus White on the double team. Now, Steve Cleveland pointed out to us yesterday that he was concerned about Rafael dealing with the block shots. In other words, self-esteem can become an issue for the young man from Brazil who plays with a tremendous amount of emotion. He recently got married to a young lady who plays volleyball at the same junior college where he participated prior to transferring, Arizona Western College.
Can she jump?
Coming up on Singular at the half, Greg Gumbel, Clark Kellogg will get you caught up on all of today's scores and highlights. And what a first few games we've seen. Plus a look at all the action going on live in the NCAA tournament with look-ins. All of that coming up on Singular at the half. Rafael Araujo leaves the game now. And here's the third center that could be utilized. And Steve Cleveland told us that Dan Howard would see playing time. The junior 7-footer just back from a mission, a Mormon mission, and right before the start of the season.
Well, they go right to Okafor on Brown.
It has been all Emeka for Connecticut in this first half. Hanson, that's a 2. He was inside the arc.
He is a player. First team all-conference. He wants to score and wants the basketball. Gordon's been pretty much invisible in this game so far, and he's their leading scorer.
In traffic, there's Okafor again. Howard rejects him. He had all leather.
And that gets the crowd up. Okafor, known for his shot blocking, doesn't get his shot blocked much.
Woodbury got caught in the air that time. Another turnover committed by BYU. They're actually going to whistle Woodbury for a charge. That's going to be his second foul. You know, Emeka Okafor is 5 out of 6 from the floor, Bob. The rest of the UConn team, 3 out of 7. I mean, without Emeka playing as well as he has, UConn would be in dire straits right now.
And the reason for that is that BYU has taken away their fast break opportunities.
That's right.
They've only had 3. That is a low number for them in a half of basketball. And as a result, when they do get their fast break opportunities, they're not converting because they're very frustrated and too anxious. This guy, Marcus White, can do a job on the offensive boards, and he's helping out in the front court right now. Game going according to BYU's plan. They're the 12 seed, UConn the 5 seed.
This may be one of the better 12 seeds that you're going to see in the NCAA tournament.
I think they were insulted by their seed, don't you? Talking to them yesterday, Cleveland feels like that they should have had a higher seed, but fortunately for him, the geography is good. BYU only an hour's plane ride from here. The Huskies have to go 2,500 miles.
Bigelow leaning in, Okafor. That's the 4th outright block. Well, that I've seen. He's altered about 5 others.
That's right, and here we see it. And he is coming off of his man to get that shot block.
There's another one.
Well, certainly Okafor has been the star of the game for the Huskies at both ends of the floor. Offensively, their leading scorer, patrolling the middle and doing what he does best, which is block shots. But the other Huskies need to step up. Right now, BYU's inside interior defenders holding their own. Perimeter guys like Bigelow and Hansen doing a good job.
Nice interior pass. Really well done.
Well, that's Talik Brown's ability to penetrate right here. That's what he does best. Gets the pass under the defender, and the rest of it is power personified. When you get into the teeth of the defense in the paint like that, that's what a point guard is supposed to do.
And it leads to a 3rd foul on Rafael Araujo, and that's not good news, particularly with only 37.5 ticks remaining in the half.
He is their chief inside offensive threat. Look for Hansen and Bigelow to shoot more right here at the end of the half.
They've probably turned down, timeout taken by BYU, they've turned down some mid-range jumpers, and they're going to have to hit a few of those to loosen up the inside.
Justin Brown, a 7-footer, will come in right here for Okafor, for fear that Okafor might get a 2nd foul right here. So he's going to come in. He and Hayes will do the defensive work. Look for Bigelow and Hansen off screens in this last possession for BYU.
Cougars can virtually hold it until the end. Only a 1-second differential. You see it there.
They would be wise to do so and not give Connecticut a chance to get a basket. And that's what they're doing right here. Running some shot clock. They will go at 8. Bauer was open. Woodbury decides to not give it to him. Now it's trouble.
Bauer gives it up. That's where they want it. Hansen.
That is not the shot they wanted. They got the right guy, but he was pressured. No chance for a good spot. But BYU did a good job of hanging with the higher-rated Huskies.
Both defenses really controlling the tempo in this game. We're tied at 26.
The Principal Financial Group, the United States Army, and by McDonald's.
At halftime, 26-26, BYU and Connecticut here in Spokane. First round of the NCAA tournament. Tim Brando alongside Bob Wenzel. You know, I think Jim Calhoun said it best at the end of the half when Leslie spoke with him. We're rushing our stuff. We're not running our sets. And I think for BYU, their shooting percentage is low because of the Emeka eraser factor.
The eraser factor. UConn averages 80 points a game, and they've only got 26 right now. Why? Because their field goal percentage has not been very good. Both teams playing solid defense, only making 1/3 of their shots. The block shot factor, very much in evidence, especially on the part of Emeka Okafor. And of course, the rebounding's what you would expect right here. Fairly even for an even game. The leading scorers, Hansen 4 for 10 from the field, Okafor 6 for 9. Those two guys are carrying their teams offensively so far.
BYU is only 1 out of 9 from downtown, and this is a pretty good shooting basketball team that BYU has. Bigelow and Hansen really responsible for most of it.
Well, right now, Ben Gordon has to get off right here. Talik Brown's going to run the show. Gordon has to move better without the ball, off of screens, and when he catches it, face up and create, because he has been absent right here in this game so far.
Okafor. A little short that time, gets his own rebound. The jump hook. He is special inside the lane when he goes to that move. One of his favorites.
You know he's a turnaround jump shooter, and people think of him as a defensive player, but so far in this game, 7 for 10 from the field for Emeka. At this end, Steve Cleveland wants to use a lot of the shot clock, but as you mentioned, only 1 for 9 from three-point range. They're usually a lot better than that.
A lot of those shots are off balance, as that one was by Bigelow. 7th lead change as UConn takes the lead. There's Marcus White.
And that's what they want to do, Tim. Fast break basketball and clean it up on the offensive boards is what they're about. Quick timeout right here. Cleveland does not like what he sees.
Not even a minute gone here in Spokane. And the tall tower taking control. Connecticut leads by 4. As you look at our tournament summary, the first 3 games today decided by a combined 11 points, including that overtime win. And by the way, the opening round game won by UNC Asheville also went into overtime. So I guess
So what else is new?
We knew on Tuesday it would be like this.
Yes, and we are in Spokane, Washington, and one of these teams is going to go to the South Regional.
That's right. Richard Midgley.
Get your geography books out.
Richard Midgley of Cal hit that big bucket with 3.9 left to knock out North Carolina State earlier today in Oklahoma City.
The intensity level of the UConn defense has increased after the timeout. A nice play right there.
Give and go. Hansen right from Harauzio.
Harauzio, a good passer, but he is the focal point of their inside offense. They want to continue to go there, but Hansen and Bigelow need to get going. This guy, Ben Gordon, needs to get going as well.
That's really been the story for UConn. The backcourt, Talik Brown and Gordon, between them only 6 points in the first half.
Well, Talik Brown you would not expect to score, but Gordon is a guy who is averaging nearly 20 a game.
BYU with quick hands almost had a turnover and then rushed the issue, and UConn answers with a steal back, and Denham Brown gets the easy one.
Denham Brown scored 111 points in a high school game one time in Canada. Does that count?
I think he was on a few recruiting maps after that.
Hansen being dogged by Talik Brown, even though Hansen's 6'6" and Talik a point guard. They want his physical nature to bound around with Hansen.
Woodbury can't connect. Connecticut's defense of the perimeter has been awfully good. BYU's turned down deep shots. Three-pointer taken by Denham Brown.
Well, Denham Brown, Rashad Anderson, 2 freshmen who are accurate three-point shooters. Depends on the day who plays well. Watch off the ball with Hansen and Talik Brown, Timmy. Schoaf is going to set a screen right here coming. Brown fought through it quite well.
Huskies with their largest lead of the day, largest lead for either team at 7.
Hansen and Bigelow really working hard off the ball, but they're being defended well by the Huskies right now. That causes that kind of a bad shot.
Yeah, every shot under duress.
Yes, precisely. Good perimeter defense by UConn. Made it to the Big East Championship this year. Defeated by Pittsburgh. Last year they beat Pittsburgh in the finals of the Big East Championship. And of course the Mountain West tournament won by Colorado State. BYU beaten by Colorado State in the semis.
There's an extra pass, one too many by White, looking for Okafor. Woodbury had numbers, decided to pull back. And that'll be a bump against Gordon. A little too physical that time against Woodbury.
Woodbury, as you mentioned, Timmy, junior college player, first year playing at BYU. They won the National Junior College Championship last year at Dixie College. Hayes comes in to give them some beef, and White goes out.
Dixie College is also in the state of Utah.
Yes, Utah's a pretty good basketball state.
Is it ever? 4 teams from the state of Utah in this year's NCAA tournament field.
Utah, BYU, Weber State, Utah State.
And And again, a little too much body. Tom O'Neill spots the foul against Talik Brown. You talk about representation, and you think of North Carolina, Indiana, but Utah, well, perhaps those of you that don't stay up late at night, it's not new. Weber State will be playing here later in Spokane, Washington. Steve Cleveland actually came over from Fresno Community College. When he was hired by BYU, most of their fan base in Provo said, who?
Yeah.
And boy, they know now.
They sure did.
What he's all about. And we had an opportunity to visit with him. He told us that his #1 influence in college basketball, and it's a good one, Boyd Grant, was at Fresno State while he was coaching at Fresno Community College. And Boyd Grant knows a thing or two about winning with the talent that you have.
Well, that's right. And way before Tarkanian was at Fresno, Boyd Grant was a legend there. He used a lot of matchup zone when he was coaching.
Gordon picking up his second foul, third team foul against UConn. Not quite 4 minutes deep here in the second half from the Spokane Arena.
UConn really trying to overplay initial passes, leaving Woodbury out there by himself. Notice how far out they're catching the ball on their initial offense. That is not what you want.
Araujo working on Okafor, and that'll be steps. That's the third time Rafael Araujo has been called for the bunny hop in the painted area. Only 2 points in the last 6+ minutes for the Cougars. They trail by 7. Seven-point lead for Connecticut, and I'm sure at the half you had to figure that Jim Calhoun was looking at the stat sheet saying, well, we're tied and we're getting nothing from our backcourt.
Ben Gordon looking to force one right here. He is only 2 for 8 from the field with 5 points. We've talked about him being their leading scorer, averaging nearly 20 a game.
Jake Schoaf picks up the foul. That's his third. So now 2 of the big men for BYU, Schoaf and Araujo, each with 3 fouls.
Gordon is a great player for Connecticut, Timmy, and I'll tell you what, you talk about all of the great wing guys that have played at the University of Connecticut in recent history: Richard Hamilton, Karan Butler, Allen, Khalid El-Amin, and Gordon right here. Those guys made it to 1,000 points in their sophomore year. So you're talking about a guy who is in elite company in Connecticut basketball history, and he needs to get a little bit better right here. They are trying to get the ball to him. Numbers today not that good.
He really has struggled away from home. Most of Gordon's big games came in the friendly confines in Stores or in Hartford. This has now become a 14-2 run for UConn. We were knotted at 26 at halftime.
Well, you would expect Jim Calhoun to give them a talking to at halftime. Having only scored 26 points in the first half, their judgment on offense was not very good. They've also picked up their intensity on defense, not for defensive purposes as much as to try to get their offense going. Notice how Emeka Okafor stays on the floor when Araujo makes his moves.
Nassif unable to get it to go. It was Talik Brown on the other end, fouled by Terry Nassif, sophomore from Vancouver, Washington, Evergreen High School.
What I was going to say about Okafor, Timmy, is that a good shot blocker jumps after the offensive guy jumps. You don't jump on the ball fake or the head fake, and Okafor does that as well as anybody I've ever seen in college basketball.
Rashad Anderson coming back into the game now for UConn, number 31 in white.
Well, he is a perimeter shooter, so they want him to shoot it when he touches it. Sometimes he shoots it so quick before he touches it.
Good call. Grazed the rim, and that was it.
He is not shy, but that's a good thing for Connecticut.
Well, they have really taken the wing play of Bigelow and Hansen away.
They really have, and they've done a very good job right here. That's a nice shot, and a tough shot right there by Bigelow. Bigelow's really good. I like him. I liked him going in practice yesterday. Really moves well, shoots well. He's got some good quickness about him.
He's playing in his home state. Olympia, Washington is near Seattle, but he's taken a lot of tough shots today. 3 out of 10 from the floor for him.
Oh, nice move by Robinson.
Pretty good defensive help by BYU. You can follow each game of the NCAA tournament on the internet. For more information on how you can watch March Madness from your computer, just go to ncaasports.com.
Inbound situation right here. Easy one for Okafor.
And the foul, it shows his fourth. And it's one that Steve Cleveland does not like.
Well, what it is if we show it to you here, he comes underneath Okafor as Okafor is going up. Watch your right side of your screen. Okafor sets a screen and then gets it. Right here, he comes under him. And that is a dangerous play right there. So it's a subtle kind of call by Art McDonald.
Jared Jensen in the lineup for the Cougars. Okafor at the line for one.
Connecticut has taken control here in the second half of this matchup.
Well, Okafor has dominated the offensive end for the Huskies, and that is not a normal thing for them. Usually the perimeter guys scoring also, but he is carrying the load offensively in this game thus far.
Has he ever? Gordon has hit a couple of shots to open the second half. BYU struggling to get off perimeter shots. Every shot under by Bigelow.
He was the leading scorer and rebounder for this team as a freshman, then went on a Mormon mission to Fort Lauderdale, and then came back and has made his presence felt in a big way.
Okafor pulled down by Adahuzio. Remember, Schoaf is out of the game with 4 fouls, so Jared Jensen back in. Bigelow did not get the shoulder square for that perimeter jump.
They've got numbers 4-on-2 right here.
Talik Brown just inside the arc, and the kick out again.
Robertson, the better part of discretion right there, could have let it go. Robertson, very quick one-on-one player.
Brown forces the issue. Good defensive work that time by BYU. Bigelow.
Hansen's on this wing. He hasn't had many touches recently.
Jared Jensen.
Hayes plays behind him. That's how he forces him all the way off the block. Jensen not as effective that far away.
Adahuzio steps out for 3. BYU now 1 of 13 from 3-point range.
And that is a weapon that they normally use very, very effectively, and you must credit UConn's perimeter defense with that statistic. Hansen really works hard on defense as well, Timmy, and as a result, I think he gets tired out some.
Denham Brown, who has been instant offense, did draw the starting nod for today's game. He has 7 points, all of them in the second half.
He and Rashad Anderson.
Jensen needs help, gets it from Bigelow.
Very aggressive perimeter defense upon a Big East team right here. UConn really getting after Bigelow and Hansen, wearing them out a little physically.
Gordon and White come back into the game for the Huskies. Hayes and Anderson lead.
Well, frequent substitutions on the part of Jim Calhoun keeps the defensive pressure up. Hard to play that kind of defense for 40 minutes with the same players, so the rotation continues for the Huskies.
Actually, it was Robertson leading the game rather than Anderson.
Anderson and Denham Brown taking places at the 3 spot. Both guys who shoot from 3-point range.
Adahuzio ducking under, but again, a tough shot did not draw iron, and another shot clock violation. You get a feeling, Bob, that maybe Steve Cleveland needs to allow Adahuzio to get away from the basket because he can get nothing done in here.
Well, he makes a good move right here, but I think he's been intimidated by Okafor. And I think it came with Okafor's reputation as a shot blocker. Right here, Okafor stays on his feet until the shot is taken. As a result, he's a very strong, intimidating force.
Gordon.
Good news for the Huskies.
I'd say the wake-up call came at halftime, and the lead catapults to 14.
Well, as I mentioned, UConn is a team that averages 80 points a game. For them to have 26 at halftime sometimes happens. They have had halves where they've only had small numbers in the first half, but usually explosions happen, and we're seeing that right now. The problem right here for BYU is they've tried to go to Adahuzio exclusively inside. They're getting away from Hansen and Bigelow. Those are the guys that are going to carry him.
Timeout. Well, why not call on Commissioner Gordon, Batman?
22 for 6 explosion for Connecticut. They're ahead. Connecticut outscoring BYU 20-6 in the second half, due in large part to Denham Brown. He's got 7 points, all of them in the second half, on a variety of kind of moves. This one is his easiest one, uncontested from three-point range. The Huskies in control.
We've reached the critical stages, wouldn't you say, Bob, for BYU? The answer must come. We're just over 11 minutes left, but down 14. There's Hansen driving to the hoop.
That's a shot they want, Timmy. Hansen is a guy that they really need to get untracked along with Bigelow. Arugio is not doing it against Okafor, and I don't think he will. He's been intimidated.
Numbers, Bigelow to Hansen. And the foul against White.
Great concentration on the part of Hansen on this play. He was going to get hit hard by White. White tried to foul him hard so he wouldn't make the layup. And right here in your living room comes both guys. And that is a great conversion on the part of Hansen. Those are the two guys that need to come up strong for BYU. And they're beginning now. This guy can really score. Very athletic, strong, quick, good perimeter shooter.
With a lot to take care of today. He has 13 points, and he's had to deal with Gordon much of the day. In fact, he is guarding.
Indeed, that's a good point, because that tires you out when you have to chase Gordon around.
Denham Brown too strong. Pulled down by Araujo. 6 rebounds for Rafael. Bigelow and Denham Brown really caught up. They were doing a little dance down there, a little soiree in the paint. Foul will go against Denham, his second.
Denham Brown trying to play defense off the ball. He'll probably come out after a foul like that. Not a good mental play on his part. Getting a little too emotionally involved.
Bigelow rejected by Okafor.
What a block by Okafor. I tell you, Bigelow was wide open at the basket. Okafor came from behind. BYU is going to retain possession right here. Okafor's presence on defense is remarkable. Right here, this should be an easy shot. He comes from off his man to block it with his right hand this time, because that's the hand that's closer. Notice how Bigelow shot it with his left, so Okafor blocks it with his right. That's why this guy's an unbelievable shot blocker.
His
Intelligent, long.
His numbers are going to be Ewing-esque.
Oh, yeah.
By the time he's done in the Big East.
He's averaged more block shots than Ewing through this point in his career.
That's right. Hansen. But I think the other aspects of his game, not just in terms of being able to swat it away, but all
Ewing didn't have his offense.
No, he didn't.
Ewing did not have his offense. He's also a great student. 4.0 GPA. Not too bad, huh? Talk about your ideal guy.
Coach's dream. Hansen. And a foul spotted. You see this crowd really wanting to get behind the Cougars. Spokane's arena has been sold out for the first round. They have over 12,000 seats here in this building of only 7 years. And they love their basketball. Of course, this is home to the Zags. Not the home floor, but of course the city where the Zags are located. So they're very much into college basketball.
No doubt about that. And rooting for BYU. Hansen and Bigelow, I'm impressed with their ability to put the ball on the floor at 210. They have good quickness, good first steps. They have the two of them trying to work a pick and roll action. The pace of the game increases when they handle the ball.
Araujo over Okafor, and again that shot altered, but Schoaf cleans it up. Playing with 4 fouls. Jake Schoaf, the junior.
He just pushed Marcus White right underneath the basket.
7-0 run now for the Cougars, and a timeout Huskies. Here in Spokane, this BYU run, at the time we said it was, they were reaching the critical stages, down by 13, 14 points. They've answered the bell. They still have to be patient enough to trigger it inside to their big people, don't they?
I'll tell you what, though, I think they should get away from him. You know, they're going to him, they're going to him, they're going to him, Timmy. And I think that Bigelow and Hansen are the guys that really need to take over the game. Now, don't forget, BYU has won 23 games. You know, they're not going to go away. No teams in this tournament are going to go away. We get a palm right there. So they are right back in it. And even though you like the Arugio situation, I'll tell you what, he has not come up strong in this game. No. It's been probably a game where he hasn't played somebody like Okafor, and I think he's a little lost out there, to tell you the truth.
I guess my point would be trigger it in and then let him
pass out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I can see that. But watch, Hanson's quick enough to put the ball on the floor.
True.
That's a heck of a play right there.
Anderson the rebound for Connecticut.
Robertson is good in transition. Talik Brown out of the game. Robertson and Gordon will share the guard duties. To wonder a little bit also about Okafor's fatigue. He's getting a rest here on this possession. He's so active defensively, he wears himself out a little.
Shot clock at 5.
Looked like basket interference to me.
It did appear as though the ball were coming down, although I think it had no chance of going in. Bigelow is fouled in the paint. This BYU team, down 14 at one point, has now made a 7-0 run, and with 8:16 remaining, very much alive as a 12 seed here against 5th seeded Connecticut. Rashad Anderson picked up the foul, his first, and Mark Bigelow, who along with Travis Hansen have been the top options for Steve Cleveland's club, will get to the line.
And they are the rightful options. One averages 16, Hansen, and Bigelow averages 15 points a game. Very accurate three-point shooters and free throw shooters. Bigelow shooting 83% from the line for the year. They have been rotating their post players to try to get something done inside, where they've had trouble against Emeka Okafor. And Connecticut has rotated players very well. Calhoun substituted a great deal, Timmy, to try to keep the pressure up defensively, and it's been effective.
Dan Howard, the 7-foot junior, has come in for BYU, number 40 in blue. Afriel Araujo, one of the go-to guys for this team, who has been really taken out of his game by Okafor, sits down. The lead is 5 for Connecticut, but a 9-0 spurt has brought the Cougar faithful to their feet.
And the reason for that is their half-court defense. Connecticut struggling 5-on-5 in the half-court.
Okafor wants it. Now remember, Schoaf is playing with 4. He's fronting Okafor down low.
Wrong guys shooting.
Woodbury brings it down. Howard does not look to score. This guy does. Woodbury engineers most of the time a dangerous pass. Recovered by Lemus. Not there. Pulled down by Talik Brown. Luis Lemus.
This is where Brown's effective, Timmy.
That'll be a block. And that'll go against Schoaf, and that should be number 5 on Jake Schoaf. I believe he got that derriere out just a bit too far.
Connecticut much better in fast break situations than they are in half-court situations. Schoaf is going to foul out because Marcus White crashed the offensive board.
And now, of course, the option, plenty of time for Steve Cleveland, who's looking for an explanation as to why he thought there clearly was an over-the-back committed by White. He's getting the explanation now.
He also wants to stall a little bit right here. You can take 30 seconds when a player fouls out, and then as a result, you try to ice the free throw shooter.
And also the determination as to whether it was a rebound or a shot. First time that Schoaf has fouled out, but they...
Oh, it was a shot.
Yeah.
White had the basketball, and he was going. It was an offensive rebound situation.
That's what the conversation by the officials at the scorers table was about.
Right here, Talik Brown drives. This is where he is a good player. Protects the ball pretty well. Right here, a tap. That is a shot.
Yes. Clearly it was a tap. Which should put him to the line. It happened so quickly, I think the officials just wanted to make sure. Boy, what a first-round day we've had. Typical of the NCAA. And I've said it many times, Bob. I think it, granted, we have concerns in the Middle East that are of far greater importance than college basketball. But it's nice to see these kids, even though their thoughts, like ours, are elsewhere, able to put on the kind of entertainment that this tournament is known for, and particularly in the first round on Thursdays and Fridays. I've said it, the weekdays, it's the greatest weekday of amateur sports we have in this country.
When I was coaching at Duke, we went to the Final Four of the championship game, and the first round game we almost lost to the University of Rhode Island. We were lucky to win it. So a lot of times teams that make it to the Final Four get by early rounds by the skin of their teeth.
There's a timeout on the floor.
UConn leads by 7, and don't forget Saturday, first round coverage of the NCAA Basketball Championship. Tips off on ESPN and ESPN2 at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Collection of games there you'll see. Pat Summitt's team is a top seed. Old Dominion, Boston College, all of that coming your way on Saturday. Of course, the UConn women's team expected to make it to the Final Four this year and almost every year. Huskies trying to get there on the men's side as well. Hansen, that one rolled off the iron.
But that was a good execution out of the timeout on the part of BYU. They got their best player a shot that he could make. Just happened to miss that one. They're in good shape. This end, they've been playing solid defense. Okafor has gotten a rest, and I think that will be the guy that they insist on going to in the half court. He's come up big early in the game and throughout.
Emeka Okafor. Off the inbounds, it's almost automatic. They look to him.
Well, they really try to get that inside screen and bump his man off as soon as he gets a little light. It's a hard pass, though, because you're very close to the guy you're passing it to, and sometimes arms can get in the way. Let's see if BYU guards the inbounder or not. Let's see if Hansen, he does. He tries to prevent an easy pass. This time, look for Gordon off a screen on the weak side in this out-of-bounds play. Here he comes.
Gordon and Okafor room with one another, so you know that they've got good vision, good sight to find one another on the wing and down low. Denham Brown, the iron unkind, and BYU with an opportunity to claw away into this 7-point cushion.
That was not what Connecticut wanted. They wanted to get it to Okafor that time. BYU team defense.
Woodbury holds on to it.
Woodbury does not look to score very much. He likes to run the show, but as a result, you can play 5-on-4 defensively.
Araujo with the dump down. Woodbury trying to save it. A poor pass by Hofriel. The Huskies lead by 7, but their last field goal was 7 minutes ago. And it's now 48-41 with time winding down under 6 minutes.
Great defense on it by Hansen. He's a 6'6" guy who plays the two-guard position. He has given Gordon a lot of trouble in this game. His long arms, he can play off Gordon and still block his shot.
Okafor got a hand on that one, but it was batted right to limits. Here's Bigelow. Hansen trying to keep it alive, retrieved by Okafor. Talik Brown trying to go the distance, but he's pushed. Now we'll go against Linus.
I think it'll be on the weak side, not so much on Talik Brown, but on White on the weak side, Tim. White does a great job of going to the offensive boards. Talik Brown is the guy who pushes it for them, and White will be at the free throw line. His ability on the weak side and able to go to the offensive board is very important. Gordon getting a seat for a little rest has not had one of his better games.
Gordon is 3 out of 10, and Talik Brown is 0 for 6. We'll trigger it in from underneath their own hoop. There's a steal by Woodbury. Pass was telegraphed. Poor pass by Tony Robertson.
Indeed.
The lead is down to 5, and Jim Calhoun wants to talk about it.
Gordon's going to be back, I suspect.
You cannot afford to have him off the floor, or Emeka for that matter. An 11-2 run for the Cougars from the Mountain Time Zone. Connecticut by 5 with just under 5 minutes remaining as we check the CBS Sportsline stat of the game.
BYU, normally a good three-point shooting team. Today, 1 of 14. That is a big-time problem for them.
Get complete tournament stats at CBSSportsline.com. On America Online, enter keyword CBS Sportsline. Denham Brown does draw some contact as he was making his move, driving to the hoop. Foul goes against Mark Bigelow, his second.
That is his second personal, 16 fouls on the Cougars.
This is, I think, a real trouble area for BYU, defending the UConn inbounds. And here Bigelow actually creates a turnover. Well, that's rare. We haven't seen much of that today off inbounds passes. For the most part, it's been find number 50.
That's right.
And roll with the flow.
Well, this time they anticipated well. UConn's got to be very concerned right here. They are struggling in the half court and in the break. BYU doing a good job. Emeka Okafor not touching the ball enough. He needs to get touches in the half court whether he shoots it or not. That will create better opportunities for the other players.
Gordon really surprised Marcus White there. White trying to ad-lib, but to no avail. And Emeka Okafor tied up with Dan Howard. The foul goes against Howard.
Well, right here, White takes a bad shot, a forced shot. He was well defended. Steve Cleveland doesn't like the call, but watch the right side of your screen. Both guys tangled up here.
Well, he had him hooked.
He sure did. He had Okafor's left arm attached to his body.
Okafor shooting 1 and 1.
Okafor, not a great free throw shooter. You can see he had a better first half than he did second half. Only 57% from the foul line for the year. 20 double-doubles on the year for Emeka Okafor.
Okafor at the free throw line adds to his numbers en route to a double-double. And of course has swatted away 7 shots throughout the course of the day and really has been the lone Husky to play end-to-end, stem to stern to get this lead, because the backcourt, Gordon really hasn't been there. They've gotten some unexpected offense from Denham Brown, but you see the field goal shooting. Both teams have really struggled. A game of defense early on. The BYU down by as many as 14 4 minutes ago. Very much alive as the 12th seed here in Spokane. Tony Robertson picks up that foul for UConn.
We'll talk about Okafor's presence. He's 8 for 13 from the field. The rest of the team is 8 for 36 from the field. So Okafor doing his job very, very well this afternoon. But the rest of the Huskies struggling at the offensive end.
We mentioned Travis Hansen just back from a Mormon mission to Chile. He and his wife Larry, now the elder statesman really of this team. Very emotional player, has grown up on the campus in Provo. He'd like to grow up a bit more by staying around in the NCAA tournament here in Spokane a couple of days. 50-45, Connecticut leading with 3:56 remaining. Don't forget about tonight's lineup. Illinois, a very strong 4 seed. I love that Arizona State-Memphis matchup. Central Michigan, Creighton, maybe the best mid-major with Kyle Korver, could be the best shooter in this NCAA tournament. Here, Weber State will be playing Wisconsin. A matchup that almost has a 12 seed. Overconfident.
We talked to Joe Cravens. His team is so confident they feel like they're the higher seed.
Yeah, a lot of talking heads, including this one, has picked Weber State. Nice floater that won't fall. White keeping it alive. Robertson as well, finally pulled down by Howard.
They've missed their last 10 shots. Very uncharacteristic in the second half for UConn.
It's a very big trip here for BYU. 3:16 left, a chance to make it a 1-possession game.
BYU has also obviously struggled at the offensive end, only scoring 45 points to this juncture of the game, Tim. But first round games, anything can happen. A lot of time off. The emotions of winning your conference tournament or being upset in your conference tournament still on the minds of players when they get to their first game.
Cougars trying to take advantage of the cold shooting from the UConn guards. Gordon, Talik Brown, and Robertson, a collective 3 of 22 today. That's the reason BYU is hanging around. Hansen, tough shot. Well
challenged by Okafor. Steve Cleveland wants it. He wants it badly right there. He wanted a foul.
And I think he deserved one.
Well, when you are the leading shot blocker in the country, you tend to get some calls as the games go on. And Okafor challenged that one nicely. Hansen really doing a good job on Gordon.
It's almost as if these two teams have scouted one another so well, it looks like a conference game.
Look at that C right there.
Slapping it away. I mean, this looks like the third meeting between these two, and that the coaches know that much. Woodbury!
Where did he come from?
A one-possession game. Just over 2 minutes remaining. Adahuzio, not a good foul. Not a smart foul at all.
Foul installed on number 55,
Woodbury in transition pulls up, hits nothing but bottom. An infrequent shooter from three-point range. And they are happy he made that one.
Well, why would Adahuzio come out and foul Talik Brown, who's been no threat from the perimeter all day? And plus, that's number 4 on him. Were we to go to overtime, I mean, Bob, he would
brain lock.
Yeah, I mean, I just
brain lock. Well, what they do is most coaches teach to jump out in the passing lane like that, but you've got to consider the time and the situation. Not a smart play.
Just that quickly, all of that momentum from that three-point shot by Woodbury taken away.
Precisely. But Woodbury feeling good about himself right now. He's going to try to create a little bit here. Watch the screens away from the basketball for Hansen and Bigelow.
So difficult to initiate your offense against UConn today. Adahuzio rejected again. Ameka.
Great timeout call right there by Talik Brown.
Ameka can make a big play or two, as he does there. 1:41 is left. Oh, the king of SWAT in Spokane. Our game reset, a 4-point lead for Connecticut. They do have the ball. You see the timeout story. BYU has a full complement. We're still a ways from the double bonus, the possession arrow to the Cougars.
Well, if UConn wins this game, they're going to have to thank Emeka Okafor and take him to dinner, because the perimeter guys have not done anything offensively. Big numbers, points, rebounds, blocks, and they got him for 7 blocks, but I'll guarantee you, I'm sitting here pretty close watching this. He's got more than that.
Yeah, I think the 7 are the ones that went backwards. Yeah. The ones that were sent the other way. He's touched a lot of them.
They're going to try to use some clock right here, which is what they should do. The problem is what happens at the end of the clock. Robertson with the ball is capable of dribble penetration. Gordon normally would take the shot, but not having a good day.
Hansen has really done a nice job shadowing him. You see him at the bottom of your screen, number 4.
He's done a great job.
Quickly the run out. Shot clock winding down. Gordon! Oh, and they needed it. He has 13, a 6-point lead still. A 2-possession deficit for BYU. Hansen for 3. Pulled down by Brown.
Brown's got to let go of the basketball. Hansen wisely fouls him to stop the clock. You got to give Hansen a lot of credit, man. For Steve Cleveland, he's done a tremendous job on the defensive end, except for the last possession on Gordon.
First foul on Hansen. I point back to that foul by Adahuzio as a real turning point. They were down 2, and a foolish foul really cost them. 48.6 remaining. Connecticut was only up 2 a short time ago.
They were wise to foul Talik Brown, although he made his last 2. He's not a great free throw shooter. Hansen and Okafor doing the most damage for their teams offensively.
3 out of 4 for him at the line today. Now they lead up to 7, which gives them a comfort zone, but a timeout taken by Steve Cleveland. The Huskies, the 5 seed, looking to advance here in Spokane. 2 shots.
And Connecticut has done it despite playing poorly at the offensive end. Their defense has held tight in the late moments of the game.
Really not many scoring options for BYU now other than utilizing Hansen and Bigelow from downtown.
And in comes Bauer because he's a three-point shooter. They want to get as many three-point shooters in the game as they can at the same time. UConn will try to pressure a little bit and force the ball toward the sideline so that the clock runs more for them. Keep a guy out of the middle of the floor in late game situations.
There's Bigelow falling away. Caught some backboard that time. Retrieved by Denham Brown. Well, those three-point shots when time is winding down, they're a little more difficult to make.
And the defense of the three-point shot on the part of the Huskies in this game is a big part of why they came out a winner.
This is one of those take a deep breath games for Jimmy Calhoun because his team was not sharp. I mean, not sharp at all. In fact, at one point, they were shooting as a team about 12% short of Emeka Okafor. They only had 3 field goals out of 18 shots from anyone other than Okafor. Emeka really controlled this game from beginning to end.
Yeah. And the guy at the free throw line did a good job from the free throw line. Had 6 assists. Made critical free throws.
A little runner by Gordon that got them the 4-point lead.
Well, this is a bad play by Denham Brown. He fouled on the miss. And BYU is going to go to the line with no time coming off the clock with an opportunity to close it to 6.
Brown, that is his 3rd personal foul, 19th foul.
Jim Calhoun saying don't go over the back.
Marcus White returns to the lineup for the Huskies.
Tell you, this young man has really been impressive. Travis Hansen.
He can shoot and he can defend. First team All Mountain West Conference, deservedly so. A senior, very experienced player. He's had a great career and it's about to end for him and the rest of his teammates.
Gone through a lot in his life, losing his mother prematurely to pancreatic cancer. Had to grow up the hard way and has really improved and matured at BYU. Quick foul given up against Gordon with 25.6 remaining. Second foul on Travis Hansen.
Well, BYU handcuffed right now. All they can do is foul to stop the clock. Gordon, an 80% free throw shooter. BYU had a great season, Tim. 23-8. Tied for the Mountain West regular season with Utah, and then got bounced from the tournament by Colorado State. Both Colorado State, Utah, and BYU in the field of 65.
I think the committee, I think one of the reasons why BYU went down in their seeding was because of the surprise of Colorado State winning the conference tournament, because
they had a very high RPI.
Yes, they were in the teens all year.
Yes.
Most recently, they were number 19 in the RPI, and so clearly they had a better schedule strength and RPI than many teams that are seeded much higher than they are. And another quick foul. This time Ben Gordon picking up his 3rd, and Jim Calhoun beside himself.
This is headache city, I'm telling you. This is headache city for a coach. And the guys making dumb fouls at the end of the game, prolonging it, and giving the opening the door, literally, for BYU.
You see, these are the dissertations, the one like Calhoun giving right now, that you're wondering, he's still trying to teach his team, but it's kind of like, fellas, you know, you just don't do that. Get in there.
Get somebody else in there.
And then he turns to George Blaney and says, they're killing me, George.
One time a fan yelled to me, one of my players wasn't playing very well. He said, get that guy out of there. I said, you know, there's a rule. If I take him out, who am I supposed to put in?
Yeah,
you know?
By the way, the assistant coach, George Blaney, the veteran who had to coach while Jim was in the midst of his battle with cancer, prostate cancer.
3-2 record during that time.
Yep, and coached at Holy Cross prior to the time he was at Seton Hall, as you know.
Holy Cross, a fixture in the first round, giving good teams trouble, but not coming up with W's.
Ralph Willard's team today gave Tom Crean and Marquette all they wanted and then some from bowing out, losing by 4. Travis Hansen picks up the foul with 11 ticks remaining.
Well, this is the kind of game where if UConn advances, they're going to think back about this game and that they didn't play well and still got away with a win, which is what you have to do somewhere along the line.
I asked Jim Calhoun yesterday about the circumstances surrounding the Big East tournament. He said, yeah, we needed to play a lot of games. Getting to the finals, even though UConn lost to Pittsburgh, they were very much in that game until the last 5 minutes. They're just young, but by playing more games, their legs are going to be fresh. They just need to mature.
Yeah, well, that's right. And then when your two top players are sophomores, and of course when you play Pittsburgh, who can clamp down on anybody, if you're looking for a team you think can make it to the Final Four with old-style balanced basketball, Pittsburgh's your team.
BYU had cut it to 2, but that was as close as they could get this afternoon. In the second half, we were tied. Hansen misses a layup. Every shot challenged. Last touch by BYU. Connecticut has it. Hansen with a steal. Count the basket. So some poetic justice for Travis Hansen. Although it comes up a little too late. As Emeka Okafor and the Connecticut Huskies advance to round number 2 here in Spokane with a 58-53 win over BYU.
But we are in Spokane, Tim, but this is the South Regional that we're playing in.
As you look at the brackets, Connecticut awaits the winner of Stanford and San Diego coming up next here in Spokane. And our Chevrolet most valuable players of the game for each team: Travis Hansen for BYU, 21-6, and Emeka Okafor. He had, in addition to that, 7 rebounds to go along with the 7 blocks. For Bob Wenzel and Leslie Maxey, Tim Brando saying so long from Spokane. Back to New York, Studio 43, and Greg Gumbel.
All right, thank you, Tim. No need to change your brackets. The BYU Cougars are out. UConn wins at 58-53 and will await the winner of the Stanford-San Diego game. Meanwhile, in Indianapolis, the RC